Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker. Hard to believe that's the last time I'll be saying that for the 2016-17 season, but it leads in to our biggest show for the winter season as we hand out the awards. And joining me to kick it off is Dan Kaufman, Herald Mail Assistant Sports Editor. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thank you very much. We're in the starting blocks. The gun's about to go off. Let's get rolling.
I'm getting a little nervous. I just hope there's no false start here as we begin with indoor track and field. And first off, the Herald Mail will be having its county teams, its athletes and coaches of the year for the winter sports season, and they'll be in the newspaper and online starting
next week. Wednesday starts it with boys indoor track and field, and then Thursday with indoor track and girls indoor track and field, and then we go through wrestling, girls basketball, and boys basketball.
So that'll be March 22nd through the 26th. Look for those because some of these selections, and I believe they will not be the same. Dan's and ours might be very close. We'll talk about that, but throughout the course of the show, again, what happens on Inside Sports is exclusive to Inside Sports, and what happens with the Herald Mail is exclusive to the Herald Mail. So let's begin with my pick for girls indoor track and field athlete of the season, and that would be Cameron Harper from Boonesboro, the junior, the county champ in the 300, and then in the 500, certainly her marquee event, going 5 for 6 during the season and winning a state title there.
Yeah, and it had a really impressive state meet performance, going first, and second in her 4 events, winning the 500, helping Boonesboro win the 4x2 and 400 relays, and finishing a close second to Lauren Daniels of Smithsburg in the 300. Lauren Daniels is the other girl that's really neck and neck with her for this award. Great battle. They're great rivals. I know Harper has talked about how much Daniels pushes her. So they're kind of the 2 big dogs, and certainly with the season that Harper had and with that Boonesboro had, and Harper leading Boonesboro to their second straight 1A state team championship, certainly a deserving winner.
Yeah, and Lauren, I think I saw the look of disappointment in her eyes when she just missed winning the 55 by about that much. And yet, you know, the versatility that she brings, and again, I must say up top, and we talked about this before we went on, just how difficult a decision this is.
Oh, yeah.
And in many of these cases, it's apples to oranges because the athletes don't run in the same events. But here, we get to who did.
Yeah, and obviously Lauren Daniels is a stronger 300 runner. Her pure speed really shines through in that event. Whereas the 500, there's a little bit of pacing, a little bit of distance quality to that race. And Harper's finishing kick really comes through in that event. Harper and Daniels ran a brilliant 500 at the state meet, and Daniels had the lead with 100 meters left, and just Harper was able to gut it out and get her at the end. But it's so enjoyable when those 2 go head-to-head. Hopefully they'll go head-to-head in a few 400s outdoors. The rivalry is spectacular, and I can't wait to write a little bit more about it.
Yeah, a lot of mutual respect between
Absolutely.
those 2, but obviously the competitiveness comes to the fore when they're on the
Right.
track against it. I mean, they're trying to win. There's no question about that. Over on the boys' side, my pick for male athlete is Ian Mann of Hancock. For the 2nd year in a row, he wins the county championships, and he also wins the region titles in the 55 and the 300. Didn't quite get his goal that he was looking for at states, but nonetheless, I couldn't deny him here.
Yeah, and if you look at the state and region meets and look at the points that he was able to score in those meets, or not the state, the county and the region meets, very, very significant. And this has been building for 3 years now. He kind of came onto the scene as a sophomore. Wasn't the top sprinter as a sophomore, but darn close. And then as a junior and senior, as far as sprinters in the county go, nobody's really challenged him much. His times have improved every year. Even though he didn't get a coveted state title this season, you know, his times of 6.65 and low 37 in the 300. Those are personal bests. I don't know that he could have run much faster. I mean, he's always going to feel like he could, but to go to states and PR, you got to be pretty happy no matter what the end results are, which I believe was a 4th and a 5th. And sprinting, you know, track and field indoor sprinting, those titles are tough to come by too. So if you look at the balance of the year, he had a great year, and again, is a deserving winner.
Yeah, and he's a guy, again, to me, he looks like Clark Kent off the track, when he gets on there, he's the proverbial Superman because he just burns it up. And Coach Mahaffey of Hancock telling me that if he wins a couple of more titles outdoors, he'll be the most decorated athlete in Hancock high school history, which is pretty good. I mean, even if you don't get a state title ultimately, that's something that they can never take away from you. Right. So congratulations to Ian Mann. As far as Coach of the Year, Becky Walter of Boonesboro, I don't know that we appreciate what she does enough because she just keeps doing it. But this year, I think, Dan, and you would probably concur here, you know, not only does she get the girls' state championship, but the boys' state championship, and then the margin of victory is just astounding.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers really say it all in this case, don't they? I mean, to win the first boys' team title in program history, indoors or outdoors, and to do it by 57 points, which is just a dominant display.
Yeah.
I thought they'd win that title. I didn't think they'd win it by 57 points. The girls win another title by an even bigger margin. I think it was something like 160-something to 70 or 80-something. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but, you know, again, just a dominant performance. But to me, what stands out about Becky Walter and her program is simply the number of kids that she gets to come out. A school of Boonesboro size, to have 120 kids come out to the program, that's astonishing. I dare say no other track and field program in the state gets as high a percentage of kids out from the school.
Now, she's a great recruiter, but if she were getting all Wes Deckers and Dan Kaufmans out there, she might run into a bit of a problem. So she's got some talented athletes. She brings the best out of them, right. No doubt about that. Dan, it's been a great season for indoor track and field for the county. Thanks so much for being here. Look forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you very much. Sounds good.
I'll be back right after this. The wrestling awards are up next. Andy Mason joins me for those in just a moment.
Champions are not merely born, they're forged in the crucible that is flag football. With equal parts turf, pigskin, and heart. That's why Buffalo Wild Wings donates to boys and girls clubs across the country to not only help thousands of kids learn about teamwork on and off the field, but to help them fulfill their destiny. To shred defensive lines, terrorize the secondary, and emerge bonded as true champions.
I saw what Dr. Eklund was doing, and I was pretty confident he could help me. I had 20 teeth extracted and 20 implants placed in the same day. I'm extremely happy with the results. I feel great. You forget the confidence, how you eat, how you smile. It's been amazing, and I'm confident that he would do wonders for them as well.
Here at Potomac Dental Center, it's more than just teeth. We give people back their lives.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with the awards now, and we're up to wrestling. And joining me for that is Herald Mail sports editor Andy Mason. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Good to be back, Wes.
Well, I think when you get to it on the wrestling side, I don't think there's any debate here at all. The wrestler of the year, as determined by Inside Sports, for the third consecutive year, Aaron Brooks of North Hagerstown.
Oh, it was a pretty easy pick. I mean, my gosh, he had the most dominant season I've ever been a part of in my 15 years at the Herald Mail. 47-0, state champion, and you know, he just destroyed opponents. I think out of those 47 bouts, about 40 of them were real bouts that weren't forfeits, and only one of those went the distance, and that was against Oakdale's Logan McCoy, who was the 170-pound state champion. Brooks was the 160-pound state champion, and Brooks won that 15-2. And you know, only you know, most of them were first period pins.
And Brooks wins the state title at 160, but I loved his versatility and his willingness to wrestle at whatever weight he needed to wrestle at during the course of the season.
Oh yeah, he'd do whatever the team needed, and he wanted to wrestle the other team's best guy, even if that meant going to 182.
Right.
He probably could have been the state champion at 182, 170, 182, maybe even 195. Who knows? I mean, that's how good he is. Definitely, in a different league.
And can you quantify a little bit just how good he is outside the bounds of the county and the state on a national level?
Yeah, so obviously he's pound for pound one of the very best, if not the best kids in Maryland. He's ranked 10th in his weight class in the country at 160 by Flow Wrestling. I believe he's the third junior on that list. But this is a kid who's won national titles. The NHSCA national tournament in Virginia Beach, which he'll be competing in next weekend as a freshman. He was the freshman champion at 126 pounds. He goes back as a sophomore, and he's the sophomore champion at 138. I believe he'll be at 160 this time. You expect him to win it again. I mean, this is a national tournament. And then there's the USA Wrestling titles he won last summer in Fargo. In the cadet division, he won a Greco title, Greco national champion, freestyle national champion. I mean, he's one of the best wrestlers in the country. We have him right here in Washington County, in public school, Maryland. He never met anyone close to his match this year. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So he said he got on the mat 40 times. 38 of them were pins, and 36 of those 38 pins were in the first period. You know, he wrestled some great competition. You know, we talked about his major decision over the 170-pound state champion. Well, he wrestled the 152-pound state champion in the finals at Hub Cup at 160, Jake Nielsen from Urbana. That match lasted 50 seconds. You know, he gets to the state tournament, first period pin, second period pin, second period pin. And those two that went to the second period, he was on his way to Tech Falls if they didn't end by pin. You know, he's just in a different league. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, what more can he possibly do? Well, he'll be back for an encore next year. You know, a lot of guys aren't going to want him in their weight class.
No, I would be attempting to avoid him at all costs because he's just that good. Now, a 3-time state champion and 3-time Inside Sports Wrestler of the Year. And the Coach of the Year is his coach, Greg Slick from North Hagerstown, 28-6 this year. And you can check most everything off the list there. Hub Cup title this season. Once again, the county champions. They win the 4A, 3A North Region duels. I mean, again, just a great season for North Hagerstown.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were, they were the best team in the county, obviously. Slick was their coach. And they didn't bring everyone back from last year. I think they only returned 8 starters, you know, so just a little over half their lineup came back. They lost 3 really good wrestlers from their lineup. I mean, obviously, if you're in the North lineup, you're really good, but they had 3 all-county guys.
Yeah.
They lost the state champion, Isaiah Brooks, Aaron's older brother. But they did, you know, North Slick gets a great turnout of guys, and when you get that many guys out there, great coaching staff, you're going to have a good team.
Yes, 7 state qualifiers, 3 state place winners, and the 1 state champion in Aaron Brooks. Congratulations to Coach Greg Slick at North Hagerstown, our Coach of the Year. So, Andy, that wraps up wrestling for this year. It's been great going through the season with you.
Yeah, it was a long season. It went by quickly, though.
Yeah, you know, it always seems like it's going to be so long, but man, it flies by, and the awards have been handed out, so we wrap it up. Andy, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'll be back in just a moment. Girls basketball. We'll get to that with Bob Parsaliti in just a moment.
When it comes to hearing loss, who will be taking care of you? Audiologist Dr. Karen Hamilton is Hagerstown's hearing doctor, working to improve the quality of life for those with hearing loss. At Audiology Services, Dr. Hamilton focuses on evaluation and diagnosis to provide solutions for treating hearing loss. Using the latest technology, she programs hearing aids to meet your unique needs and ensures they fit properly and comfortably. Audiology Services participates with most insurance companies and will check benefits and file claims on your behalf. Dr. Hamilton and her team also serve the community through Hagerstown Hearing, which focuses on providing crystal clear sound in places such as theaters, churches, offices, and homes. Hagerstown Hearing installs looping systems that allows those with hearing loss to enjoy speech clarity and noise reduction, providing an experience like never before. To learn more about Audiology Services and Hagerstown Hearing, call 301-790-3300. Audiology Services and Hagerstown Hearing, providing crystal clear sound.
Welcome back to the show. We continue now with more awards, and we're up to basketball and girls basketball at that. And joining me is Herald Mail insider Bob Parsaliti. Welcome back to the show, Bob.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Well, here we go with the awards, a season building up to this point. And I'd like to start with a few of the girls that I considered first and foremost on the private school side. And you sort of alluded to this all season long, whether it be in the paper, online, or here on the show. We certainly have a youth movement in girls basketball. And I think when you look at a Skylar Treadwell at St. James in particular, a freshman there, very versatile, 6-footer who has some range. Certainly, I think there's much better to come for her as the years go by.
There's a lot of girls that I think gave you an indication of what they can do, but once they grow into things and get a little better idea of what they're doing, they're probably going to be a lot better down the road.
Yeah, she averaged 19.4 points per game, 7.4 rebounds, 3.7 steals, 2.5 blocks per game. I mean, a real stat sheet stuffer. And the most impressive thing, I think, is that St. James wins 19 games with her leading the way as a freshman, first team all IPSL selection. And I think what really stands out to me, again, is just the versatility that she has, that she can shoot the three in addition to playing inside.
She's an inside-outside player. I mean, the times I've seen her, she was able to get outside, and that's really stretches a team. And you consider that St. James had 19 wins, and they had 2 sophomores and 2 freshmen starting. That says a lot about their future if they can keep things together and kids grow, you know.
Yeah, no question about it. So she was one of those that I certainly looked at. And then another on the private school landscape, Michaela Hoy at Heritage. And you wonder just how good she could be if she could stay in the lineup all the time, fighting off some injuries during the course of the season. Just a junior, but the MDCC Co-Player of the Year this year, averaging just under 16 points per game. What I really would have liked to have seen, I would have loved to have seen her in the game against Smithsburg, but she was out with an injury. But the body of work, just tremendous. And I think she brings an energy to that team that nobody else does. She's such an important cog.
I think she could probably be even more explosive. I mean, the games I've seen her play, she was trying to pass more than shoot, and then the offense comes to her, which is something coaches love, you know, let the offense come to you. And but I mean, she has the ability to get out on the break. She has ability to break someone down for an easy layup, and she can pass the ball and brings everybody in. That team could have been really devastating if everybody was healthy out at Heritage.
Yeah, she wasn't the only one who wasn't healthy the entire year, that's for sure. But 6 rebounds, over 4 steals per game, in addition to her point scoring. And Kyra Stubbs at North Hagerstown, the freshman. I know North only wins 7 games this season, but Matt Ryan said it all season long, when our leading scorer struggles, we struggle. And there was a lot put on her shoulders, and she rose to the occasion many, many times.
Well, I mean, if you look at the last 2 years at North High, it's been a team that's really centered around one person, and this year it was Kyra Stubbs. The difference is that she had a better supporting cast, which helped her out some. I think that she brings a lot to the table, and once they weave in the rest of the young kids and get them to be a little more confident, they could be pretty good in the coming couple of years.
Yeah, you talk about how young that starting lineup was for St. James. North Hagerstown, much the same story there. Just 1 senior in the starting lineup, 1 junior, and then you've got the underclassmen there. Stubbs scoring 37% of the points that the Hubs scored this season, a team that only averaged 46. She put up nearly 17 per game. And when I broke it down, I mean, I went over this so many times. I came up with Erin McVicker at Williamsport, and maybe the stats don't necessarily jump off the page, especially when it comes to points scored, 9.3 per game. But that was tops on a Williamsport team that won 20 games, and then she averaged 4.4 rebounds, second on that team for a girl who's 5'6" and is the point guard, 5.3 assists per game, 4.7 steals per game. And again, I think it all came down to the body of work of being part of a cohesive unit that absolutely dominated in the county and won 20 games overall.
Let's look at it, I mean, in the big picture. Every team that we had out there this year had flaws. Every one of them had something that kept them from really being overly successful, and yet with Williamsport, even though they didn't have a big person inside, even though they didn't have a full-time shooter outside for the entire season that could score, you know, I think you take McVicker out, they don't win anything, or very few. And with that being said, I think that's the definition of the most valuable player.
Yeah, I was about ready to say the same thing. Certainly the most valuable player on Williamsport, and when it's the best team in the county, I think there's no question then that she has every right to claim Inside Sports Girls Player of the Year. In terms of coaches, Dana Henson at Heritage, we sort of hit on that a little bit, those injuries early in the season to Leanna Shank and Maylin Patey could have devastated most teams. A couple of junior starters out for the bulk of the season. Still, Heritage wins 25 games. But in the end, Kevin Murphy at Williamsport, now a perfect 4 for 4 as Inside Sports Coach of the Year. Team that went 12-0 in the county, winning their games by an average margin of 18.8 points per game. Didn't score a lot of points, and the fact that they were so good defensively without the girl that they were going to look to be their defensive stopper before the season started, and she went down with an injury, didn't play a single game this year, and Taylor Neff, just a tremendous body of work there by Williamsport and Coach Murphy.
Well, I think this was some people could say with smoke and mirrors, but this was I think he has a team that believes in what the Kool-Aid he's giving them. He has them believing in being a defensive team. And I mean, a lot of times good defensive teams can win games because they limit the other team's scoring, and just score enough to get by. And that's pretty much the case at Williamsport. I mean, they had a crew in there that kind of hugged to the philosophy and just basically carried it. And, it starts with what Kevin's been preaching to that group for X amount of years.
Yeah, held 13 opponents under 40 points per game this season, which is doing something on the defensive end, no question about that. And by the way, school record, third consecutive 20-win season for Williamsport. So congratulations to Williamsport's Aaron McVicker and Kevin Murphy, our player and coach of the year in girls basketball. Bob, thanks so much. I'll be back right after this. Tim Kelby joins me to hand out the boys basketball hardware in just a moment.
Tony's Pizza in Williamsport has had the same simple philosophy since 1985. Start with simple products. Sauce from the best Italian tomatoes, the best cheese and dough made fresh every day. Then mix those with a great atmosphere, and you'll have the best dining experience you can find. Tony's is known for their pasta dishes, subs, pizzas, and specialty items like their Nutella Dots and the famous Crazy Tony. Simply put, they want to give the best food they can give to their customers. So stop in today to Tony's Pizza in Williamsport.
Life's expensive. You've got your home, your car, maybe a family, and now you're thinking about earning your degree. At Kaplan University, we get it. When it comes to the cost of your education, every bit helps. That's why we created Tuition Cap. It's a program that sets the maximum amount you'll pay for college. Once you meet the cap, the rest of your degree is free. That's right, free. That adds up to a 33% savings off the full tuition. It's all part of our promise to make college more affordable. Learn how you can save with Kaplan University's Tuition Cap program at 1-866-KAPLAN-4.
Welcome back to the show. The only awards left to hand out, the Boys Basketball Awards, and who better to help me hand them out than Herald Mail insider Tim Kelby. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Bring out the big boys.
Yeah, well, we got
the basketball players.
That's right. That's right. We got the big awards to hand out, so we bring out the big gun once again. And let's start on the public school landscape, and let's just get right to it. Boonesboro's Tyshawn Hanna is the pick here on Inside Sports. And the 6'1" senior guard really making a difference with Boonesboro this year. And I said this last week on the show to Kevin, just the way that he plays and he carries himself, just very smooth, steady, unaffected by anything else that's going on.
You know who you think of with him is Keith Wilkes.
Yeah.
Who he used to call Silky.
Right.
And that's the kind of ball player he is.
Yep.
He's not as big, but still he's got the same mannerisms. And he does a little bit of everything. Much less score and hit some game winners at clutch times. But he reminds me a little bit of Keith Wilkes.
Yeah, 18.3 points per game overall this season. Stepped it up 19.7 in the playoffs. And, man, just cannot forget the game against Clear Spring, scoring 15 of Boonesboro's final 18 points in that game. And the buzzer beater.
Including the buzzer beater.
Oh,
if you didn't see that picture, it was quite a shot and an effort by Tyshawn.
And I think next year, boy, the county really looks good on the public school landscape. Clear Spring in particular, Connor Michael Myers, Jarrett Lozich, three guys who only got to play together for 5 games this year.
Yeah, Lozich being out really hurt that team, being the playmaker that he is. They should come back and be decent. And of course, Boonesboro should be okay. And who knows about Smithsburg and North has got some opportunities, and I think the South does also.
And you got Jacob Ball over at Williamsport leading a very young crew there.
So next year could really be up, public school-wise. Yeah.
On the private school landscape, this is no surprise whatsoever, but the private school player of the year for Inside Sports, Elijah Clarence at St. Maria Goretti.
Cardiac clearance. That's going to carry with him for quite a while.
Well, you do it one time. That's one thing.
Yeah, twice.
You do it twice.
Okay. Third time, it was unbelievable what he did. he was, and again, talking about somebody that he reminds you of, to me, he reminds me of David Miner. You know, think about what David did back in 03 and 04, albeit he averaged 31 a game. Clarence is only averaging 18, but he does the same type of things. You know, he'll go the length of the floor with a dribble. Right. He'll pass it off. He'll shoot it. You know, he'll shoot it through. He'll do the whole 9 yards.
Very
and
confident.
He's confidence
in his abilities.
Confidence
Confidence
galore.
personified.
Absolutely. And yeah, there's really no choice other than Clarence for the player.
And how impressive is it to you that he goes into the Alhambra and averages over 23 points per game there, and on the biggest stage, perhaps that first game against DeMatha, the defending champion there.
Let me tell you something. Even after the first game, I wasn't up there till the third night.
Right.
But even when he stepped out on the floor for pregame practice, the third night, people were still talking about him. They were talking about his ability and what he was doing. They were talking about his massive windmill slams, which he put on a few, I guess, Friday and Thursday, and he sure did on Saturday also. But yeah, he was the kind of player. You know, he was like a T.J. Harvey of DeMatha that's going to Notre Dame. You know, that kind of player. Jalen Lewis at St. Joe, still with another year, but yeah, he's that kind of ball player.
Yeah, MVP of the MAIT this season, first team All-IPSL, first team All-BCL.
That was the big one, BCL.
Yeah, because that just...
it doesn't happen every day.
No, they don't just hand those out on the street corner to guys either. You really have to earn them. And now headed to Illinois State to play for the Missouri Valley Conference Coach of the Year in Dan Muller, who, oh, by the way, was the MVC Freshman of the Year back in '95 with the Redbirds. So it seems like he's getting in with the right coach.
And they just missed getting into the NCAA this year.
Yeah,
actually, it probably should have been.
With that RPI in the 30s?
Absolutely.
You could certainly make the argument.
So he's going into a good situation.
Very much so. And the Inside Sports Coach of the Year is Matt Miller of St. Maria Goretti. 29-9 this season.
Yeah, 29-9 in 3 years now. I believe he's 49 and 30, something like, maybe not 30 losses, but you know, when he came in, he followed Amrit Rayfield, who turned the program around. Had 3 of his last 4 years were winning records, and then he decided to go back into education. And Matt Miller picked it up and solidified the program. And I think that, you know, he's really righted the ship. The kids understand and finally took in to what he was trying to accomplish, and it showed this year. You know, actually, you know, Goretti could have won 34, 35 games this year easily. But they had a couple of lapses like they did in the postseason. They cost him, but they very well could have. But yeah, him and his staff did a great job.
Yeah, first BCL tournament win in 15 years.
15 years. It was it was a long time coming.
And the BCL Coach of the Year, by the way, and now the Inside Sports Coach of the Year too. Boy, it's been a good year in a lot of respects for boys basketball, but St. Maria Goretti certainly.
Well, when
shining light.
Well, when you consider all the years that Goretti has had, you know, the successful years that they've had, 29-9, that's the 5th best record in Goretti history.
Yeah, that's that's something to be proud of. And I'll tell you, that's walking on hallowed ground.
Sure is.
Right there. There's no question about it. Tim, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. All of the awards have been handed out. Congratulations to all of the recipients. And just want to share my thanks to everyone who has contributed to the show this season. This is our final show for 16-17. Season 9 is under our belts. And speaking of under our belts, don't forget about these. You might want to wear these during the off season.
They're not mine.
Well, no, they're not Tim's. They've been here on and off during the course of the season. But those are the Good Luck undies. So yeah, we'll continue to subscribe to those throughout the off season. So you do what you want on your own. But thanks so much for watching this year. We look forward to seeing you again next year. Until then, we'll see you on the inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets.